Lately, I've been playing a good bit of Grounded, which is literally a game where you go on an adventure with your friends in the backyard. That, plus the fact that it's set in the 90s, makes it fair to say that the nostalgia playbook is pretty heavy-handed, but hey, if it works, it works. Obviously, nostalgia can be blinding, and generally it's good to base praise in more objective merits, but fun is still fun, whichever way you slice it, and that's ultimately what this game aims for. It's very aware of its own ambitions and its position in the marketplace.
If you're waiting for the biggest game of the year, then wait for Cyberpunk.
Some cursory details: this is an early access $30 game, so it's expected that technical hiccups are inevitable. The content is unfinished with very little story, and even when it is finished, it presumably won't have the content volume of a $60 game. The game is for all intents and purposes a raw survival sandbox with a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids coat of paint. The art style didn't initially strike me as particularly appealing, but what does is how this game eagerly nudges the player to see mundane contents like a soda can, a bush, or a ladybug with the vibrant curiosity and imagination that we all had as children. It's a reminder of those days when the backyard was practically our world, and boy did we get a lot of mileage out of it. Grounded is a very literal interpretation of that theme. The gameplay itself draws from other survival games. You manage survival elements, gather resources, explore different parts of the map, run from spiders, and build a fort. A fair warning, because of how minimal the story content is, this game is undoubtedly not for everyone. It's for a particular type of player who is content to set their own goals and get wrapped up in their own experiments, like, how high up this tree can I make it? Or, what if I build a bridge across this giant pond? I happen to be that type of player, so I'm having a ball, but more objectively speaking, I do get the sense that many potential buyers will be disappointed in how little there is in the way of quests and whatnot, at least so far. There's also a stark, potentially off-putting learning curve during which everything kills you, and you feel like you just can't get a grip on the ecosystem, but once you get over that hill, the exploration is very enjoyable and the building and crafting are rewarding if tedious. It can be a chore to transport materials, which creates a prominent incentive to play with friends and get it done in a fraction of the trips. Of course, that does mean that playing solo can feel a bit dry. Even though it's monotonous to cut down grass and weeds, which you then have to haul to a build site, I do appreciate how actualized the construction is. You can legitimately see where each and every piece goes, which makes the task feel authentic, whereas crafting in other games can feel like you're just gathering quantities that don't really correspond to what you're building, at least not in physical volume. Say in Fallout 76, it takes 20 little pieces of copper to build this giant lion statue, which is easily twice my character's size, and yet I can easily fit double that amount in my pockets somehow. I don't mean to nitpick, but I do appreciate that Grounded handles that with a bit more physical correspondence. Despite not really having a story yet, or XP, or perk trees, or anything like that, a strong progression system manages to sneak itself in. Ultimately, I knew I wanted to build a fort, but in order to do that, I would need weed stalks, and in order to get those, I would need a level 2 axe. But in order to make the axe, I would need to defeat a beetle for its parts, and in order to do that, I was going to need to craft some stronger armor and weapons, and each of those pieces needed their own parts. So you get the picture. One goal unfolds into a 10-step process that can be a bit overwhelming, but in my experience, you can really feel the progress you're making, which I find pretty satisfying. And I'm still at it. There are chunks of the map I can't even access yet because I believe I need a gas mask, which I just haven't gotten around to making yet. Grounded is not the first game to use these elements. In a lot of ways, it's plainly derivative of Minecraft or Rust, but the unique coat of paint adds a lot. It's very rare that I can look at a game setting and say, I have never explored an environment like this, and Grounded definitely nails that as far as I'm concerned. I've had some pretty unique experiences in this game. For example, a lot of tasks involve recipes that call for ingredients you might not have found yet. In most games, you might need some random component, like, say, gold ore, so you just wander in search of random mines until you happen to come across the right materials. In Grounded, a recipe might call for berries, or flower petals, or acorns, so you might get up to a high vantage point and just scout the yard and say, where the hell would I find berries? You look around and say, well, berries grow on bushes, I guess I'll head over there. And sure enough, your skills of observation pay off without the need of quest markers or any other hand-holding measures. The game rewards basic problem-solving skills instead of giving step-by-step instructions that practically make the player's part redundant. Same with navigating. In Grounded, you mainly use reference points like the tree or the house. I think there are some quest markers in the tutorial, but if I recall correctly, they altogether stop after that. You can set custom waypoints, which you might be seeing on screen right now, but those are placed manually and you actually have to build a trail marker for them. The game is still in development, so all of this could change if enough people complain, but for now, it's pretty free from handholding. The game still needs plenty of work. It glitches up sometimes. Maybe an enemy will spawn inside a rock, or even some of the resources won't spawn properly, which really sucks, but overall, I've had a good time. It's very simple, but it seems like my fort just keeps getting bigger, and every time I have a new idea, I just have to try it. So credit to Obsidian for stepping out of their element with this one. Their resume starts and ends with RPGs as far as I can recall, so by making a raw survival game without XP or perk trees or leveling up, they're really stepping into some new territory. Anyway, just thought I'd share my thoughts since a lot of people are considering buying this game. As always, if you enjoyed this video, consider checking out my other content. Your like and or sub would go a long way. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.